That's why I'm easy.
Fucking hate you so much.
I'm easy like Sunday morning.
That's a good song. Who's that?
That's the Commodores. You ever heard of them?
You know, it looks like you're being interrogated right now in like a jail waiting room. And to be honest, Tyler, I kind of wish you were.
Yeah, well, that's mean of you. It's been a while since we've been able to record.
What a fucking travesty. Like, there's not a listen. I'm not being exaggerative or embellishing or dramatic when I say never in my life would I thought that we would have been like, hey, yo, man, like I was telling people, I was like, yeah, we didn't do one after the Bama Georgia game. Who cares? I was on cloud nine, but I was like, you know, we both had a lot of stuff going on. Tyler bought a house. We're allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, we're allowed to say that. So that's why I look like I'm in a jail cell because I haven't put anything on the walls yet. I don't know if Evan Grimes is trying to be funny here when he says new place looks great, just a blank wall behind me. But
Evan has been a hilarious dickhead on Twitter since the loss. He said something to both of us where he tagged us and it was like, "Hey, congrats on Vandy cashing the over." Like 20 minutes after the loss, and I was like, "God damn, that's good."
Couldn't have done that against Ball State next week.
Yeah, could have done it against Ball State next week. But I just never thought that like Bama beats Georgia.
Yeah.
Let's not make any bones about it, and let's be as transparent as possible. Everyone here already knows it. There's not a game that matters more to me personally, I think, at this point than that one. Not just because of the idiot fans on social media, but it's the two best programs. It's always a hard fought game. I talk the most shit with that fan base. It seems like
Auburn's not very good. So
Auburn's not very good. My first stepdad was a piece of shit. And he was a Georgia season ticket holder. If you want to get real about it, and I hated like that game was awesome, and we were like, oh, it's just we'll just get to it when we get to it. Boo, 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 boo. Of course, it doesn't matter about the Vandy game because Bama's never lost to Vandy in my life.
38 years.
I lost to Vandy.
Dog, I was in the middle of my move on Saturday, and I'm just looking. I keep, throwing on my phone, seeing what's going on with games. And I'm like, because at one point, what was it, like 20-something to 7? And I was like, well, that's not going to hold up, but that's pretty crazy. Like,
yeah.
And it held up.
Then it was 23-7.
Yeah.
Then it was 23-14. Then it was 23-21. Then it was 30-21. And then at the end of the game,
never led
for a second.
That's
like,
insane.
Listen,
you don't, and let's be honest. I mean, we gotta be honest. Like, you don't just go into Vandy. It's a hostile environment. I mean, you saw what it was like after the game. I mean, it's crazy fans. Like, that's probably a top 10 environment in college football. So you can't be too hard on Bama. Yeah.
Your team is 1-5, so you can suck my dick.
1-5. New QB though. Let's go. We're riding with.
Oh, did my projected Heisman finalist quarterback? Oh,
are we watching football or baseball?
No, football. So listen, we're gonna I think it's so much more fun doing the pod now because it's like it just feels looser. We don't have to deal with like SDS bullshit. And I'm very excited about that. And we appreciate you guys joining us for like the 8th. You know, I was talking about the other day, Tyler. You know, the one thing I regret with the podcast is I wish that we never changed it from College Football Uncensored.
Yeah.
And I wish that when we rebranded this, we should have just fucking said we're doing College Football Uncensored. Like there's no chance they would have done anything.
Yeah. Yeah. They did have us on a contract saying we wouldn't use it.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have checked it.
I don't think they would believe in the power of the brand that we have.
No, I agree. They also, we didn't get into that shit, but it's like I wish we would have done it. But I was on a podcast last night with Jim Dunaway, and William Fujioka was commenting. He's like, "Yeah, man, I really miss Saturday Football Uncensored." I'm like, "We've been doing a whole other podcast the whole time." I was like it's But yeah, so we
It's
missed
probably
that.
hard to keep up with because you keep losing Twitter accounts.
It's unfucking believable. And then I posted some today about October 7th, so I'm sure I'll lose another one here in a minute. Yeah, I finally said some things that I felt passionate about, and I just let them off my chest. We don't need to get into
The
those.
Auburn bro beating up that
Look,
Palestine. Yeah, see, and the hat.
and the hat. I listen. Fuck that kid. Fuck that kid. And that entire it. Listen, I you know what? Fuck it. We'll just say it. I don't care. If at any point you find yourself watching all those things that unfolded last year on October 7th, and then somehow that was a movie, I've said this 1,000 times, that was a movie and you were watching it, and all of a sudden throughout the middle of all the horrific shit that happened, you're like, hey, those are the good guys. Fuck that kid. The kid had a belly button ring. You think I'm gonna listen to politics from a kid with a fucking belly button ring?
You can't.
No. Yeah, but War Eagle for that. I was very excited. That's one of the reasons I wore this tonight. And also to just, make sure everyone knows that I'm not a Bama fan anymore. I quit because Bama lost to fucking to Vanderbilt. But all in all, man, I will say this. The entire weekend of games was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, someone posted a stat. I think it might have been Bill Connolly. He was comparing games this year to what we said at the very beginning of the year to 2007.
Yeah.
It's that crazy of a year. Like,
yeah.
There's still, I mean, think about it. Ohio State and Oregon still have to play. One of them is going to lose. Texas still has a very hard schedule in front of them. I mean, there may not be any undefeated teams by the end of the year.
I would think that is what we're headed for, to be honest. It might be better than 2007. We were doing a show last week with Gordy and them, and he brought up the fact, he was like, dude, they haven't had, there's been a upset in the SEC every single week of the season so far, every single week. And it's just been crazy. And then you think about some of the other stuff that's happened. Like, dude, let me walk everyone through last Saturday. Let's get into the games. All right, let's get into the games and talk about what happened last Saturday. From start to finish, one of the greatest days of college football I have ever watched. Now, I'm going to start this whole part by taking off the Bama hat that I'm not wearing and objectively just talking about it as a fan. Because here's the bad news for people that showed up to watch me be upset. If they lost to Georgia, I would have been upset. If they lost to Tennessee, I would have been upset. If they lost to Auburn, I would have been upset. I had a hard time being super down about them losing to Vandy because it was like, it's fucking Vandy. Like I might later in the season, and maybe it's because I haven't processed it fully yet. I don't fucking know. But like maybe later in the season, if they miss out on the playoff because they lost to fucking Vandy and they beat Georgia, then I'll make sure I'm geared up and pissed about that. But here's the thing. Starting with the very first start of the day, right? College Game Day goes out to Cal, the Calgorithm. They fucking show out. They show out, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
Woke versus Coke is one of the best nicknames for a game I've ever seen.
I will continue to say too, on top of that statement, because you're right. Pat McAfee continues to grow, in my opinion, college football to a bigger and broader audience and makes it more fun. Him and Saban combined, and I'm very biased when I say this because one of them makes horrible, unprofessional decisions on camera all the time. And the other is Pat McAfee. No, the other one's Nick Saban. And so it's like, it's so much fun watching them interact. Then they go out and get Marshawn Lynch in this one. But the cool thing is all of them showed up and showed out at Cal. It was an incredible environment. You can tell they're having a fucking blast on the actual set. Side note, this specific one was kind of great because they didn't have Corso on there, and it felt better, to be honest. Like, I hate to say that, but it does.
Well, I think it's just because you just feel almost like a pinup anxious feeling when Corso's speaking, because he's just about to totally fuck something up. Or stutter his way through. And it's just uncomfortable watching him try to talk. And I'm not even taking a shot at him.
No.
It's sad. I mean.
Yeah. Buddy, you're not running the country. We're not going to make fun of you for doing it. And it's not like everyone's been telling us you're super healthy for the last several years. This is the new phase. We got nothing to lose, brother. It was so good. And then you had the moment where they brought this kid on from Cal, who said he was there since 11:45 before. All he had was a donut. I will guarantee you right now, they said it's all he had of sustenance. I would be willing to bet that's not all he had of substance in his body. That's all I'm going to say. But he lines up to take a field goal, and you could just tell, I was like, this kid's either high as shit or he is just very calm. And I remember posting about it on Twitter. I was like, in front of my dozens of followers now. And I was like, this kid's going to hit this field goal, isn't he? And he missed the first one, hits the field goal for 100K. Crowd goes insane. Pat Mack and Herb should go insane. And then we kick off this day of football where we saw UNLV and Syracuse the night before.
Yeah.
Going to overtime. That was sick. But you saw 7 top 25 teams lose. You saw 5 teams in the top 11 lose. Should have been 6, except for Miami came back from a 38-10, being down 38-10. You had 2 top 5 SEC teams lose to unranked opponents for the first time in the conference's 91-year history. You had 4 top 10 teams lose. And of course, it's all capitalized by one of the biggest upsets we have ever seen with Bama losing to Vandy. And here's the thing, Tyler. I'm man enough to admit it. That wasn't a fluke. That wasn't like Vandy got lucky. Vandy kicked Bama's ass.
That's wild to even hear someone say. But they put up 40 points, so you got to – that's not a fluke to put up 40 points.
No, they got a pick 6, but it was on a tip ball that I don't know if it should have been caught or not. I don't think it should have been caught necessarily, but it was like that was a pick 6. Bama made some mental mistakes, but dude, Vandy came out there with a game plan, which was, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run the football and we're going to run the clock. And that's all it took. That's all it took. They didn't make more mistakes. Bama came into that game allowing they had the best third down defense in the country. They had allowed 11 total conversions on the year. Vandy came in, went 12 of 18. They converted 9 of their first 12 third down conversions. They had a 4th and 1 where Pavia rolls out to his left, drops back off his back foot, throws it deep, and hits his dude. Listen, it was just one of those days, Tyler, where it's like, I was texting Allie about it, and I was like, we're going to lose. And the first time I said it kind of like, reverse jinx.
Yeah, reverse jinx, yeah. I love the reverse. It's a great move.
But yeah, by the second time I had said it, I was dead serious. I was like, they're doing all the things that teams do to lose games. They held the ball for only 17 minutes and 52 seconds. They didn't win the turnover battle. They gave up a bad sack where Miller never saw the guy coming and he fumbled. And the scary part is, honestly, Tyler, that play is when a lot of Bama fans were like, that's when I knew it was over. And it was like, you should have been watching before that, because even at that point, Bama was down 5. And I kept thinking, even if they score here there's less than 5 minutes to go, even if they score here and they get the 2-point conversion, there's no part of me that thinks Bama's going to be able to stop Vandy from getting to the 40-yard line, which is where they need to be for field goal range. There was no part of me that thought, oh yeah, the defense has played well enough that they'll finally put the clamps down. And the very last thing I'll say, because there's some historic numbers that I'll get into later whenever you want me to. But there was one that Cole Kulick put out that was like, it wasn't even like a knife thing. It was just like, of course. And it was, of all the numbers, he put it out there. He goes, Diego Pavia, who's a fucking baller.
Yep.
He becomes the first FBS quarterback to beat to complete 80% of his passes with at least 2 touchdowns and no interceptions against the number 1 ranked team in the country. You want to take a guess at when the last time it's happened?
Unranked team?
I don't know if it's an unranked team, but it was against a number 1 ranked team.
Oh, actually, I did say this on the live, so I'm not going to blow it. You can tell.
Steven fucking Garcia.
Yeah.
It was, and dude,
friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. Shirtless friend of the pod.
Yeah.
It was, am I wrong for saying, even as a Bama fan, it was pretty fucking awesome?
I will say that is wrong. Yes. And I will say, if we can one day get Diego Pavia on our pod, shirtless, laying in his bed for an interview like we had Steven Garcia, then
that was one of the best episodes we've ever done. That was like 2 weeks. Well, never mind. But
I'll never forget. Like he logs in. I'm like, is he? He doesn't have his shirt on and he's laying in bed.
It was holding a beer. I was like, you're gonna spill on yourself.
Yeah.
I don't. Dude, that was yeah, I don't know, man. It was one of those things where I was watching it and it was I will like I was bummed that Bama lost, and maybe again, I'm just being honest. Maybe there's a part of me that has not processed it yet, still, because it's never happened in my fucking life. It had never happened before Saturday in my entire life. But dude, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was a pretty cool moment for college football, for Vandy especially. And listen, Georgia fans, you can take this and run with it all you want. If Bama had lost the week before, yeah, I would be pretty fucking miserable right now.
Yeah,
But they didn't. They beat Georgia. And, and at the very least, you can sit there and make all that's our Super Bowl jokes or what the fuck ever. But, like, dude, bottom line, the resume is still intact, even with the loss to Vandy.
Yeah. One thing that you mentioned earlier is like, there's no way you're going to stop them from getting to the 40. You could make them go backwards by kicking the ball when it's set and kicking it further back, like Malachi Moore.
Oh, that was fucking awful. Yeah. Also, listen,
I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that.
That was unreal. Bossa Nova, dude, 169 says, even he will get beat by Kentucky and won't be shit in the NFL. I tell you what, you talk all the shit you want to about Vandy and Bama losing to him. This is going to sound super fucking lame for me to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is not like a bad football team. Like, this is not like your grandpa's Vandy team. And by the way, if we just think that Kentucky is going to waltz into a situation where Mark Stoops, by the way, is 2-10 career against the spread coming off a bye week. Fun fact for you. We'll get the numbers out early this week because I've already been deep diving. But if you don't think Diego Pavia can go into fucking, Allie says I'm yelling again. Hey, you know what? If you don't think that they can go into fucking Kroger Field, I just watched South Carolina do it, and South Carolina is pretty awful.
Yeah, well, it's as we say, we're fond of saying on this pod, you don't just waltz into Kroger Field and come out with a victory. So it'll be a tough. But look, Vandy's got Ball State this week, so let's just assume they win that game. I guess there's no assumptions in college football, but
no, Vandy has Kentucky this week, don't they?
Do they really?
Yeah,
okay, maybe Ball State next week. Because I knew Ball State was the game I was targeting for the over of the win total. So they should at least get to 4 wins with that win. And yeah, look, who's to say they can't beat Kentucky? They just beat Bama. The number 1 team in the country. So I feel like this win does so much for their program in the sense that, like, just like we just still talk, App State beat Michigan in 2007. And it's still the narrative, like, well, you got App State on the schedule. They could always rise up.
Yeah.
That's going to be Vandy now. Like, Vandy, because of that, you'll always be like, oh, remember when Vandy beat Bama? And
it is, I'm over this, but it's the 8th straight time that Vandy or that Bama has lost on the road, and the visiting team has rushed the field. It's the 8th straight time. By the way, do you want to know how far back that goes? The 8 losses total?
2007.
No, 2013 kick 6. That's it, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
doesn't happen much.
No.
As soon as I saw the final score, I thought back to that kid, that like kind of high-voiced O-lineman a couple of years ago.
Lafango or whatever.
I was like, yeah, man, we just go.
How would that be next?
I wonder what he was feeling.
He's gay now.
Who would have thought?
Probably not now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making a graphic for the Saints for work, but also, it turns out he was right, dude. The social media reaction to it afterwards was so fucking good.
Well, that and just all the videos coming out of the goalposts going down Broadway Street, like into the river, that was cool.
Yeah, it was. It was admittedly cool.
We don't have to talk about Bama losing Vandy the whole time, but obviously huge. I mean, huge victory, but that wasn't the only one on the day. The other one I tuned into that I don't know necessarily that I was like baffled, but it was just kind of surprising. I looked at my phone early in the day and I see Texas A&M is up like 28-0 on
34-0 to start.
yeah, on Missouri.
Yeah.
That's an ass whooping. For the number
They
9 team, that's an ass whooping.
Mhm.
I mean, shout out Elko, dude. He's got Texas A&M 5-1. I mean, they were very close to beating Notre Dame they'd be one of the few undefeated teams left
Yeah.
that actually have a chance.
The fuck does this mean? I don't even know what to say.
I don't even get it, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's fine. What's crazy about that game that you're talking about specifically is that as I try to make this stupid graphic, is that they had that A&M game. They started Connor Wegman, and Wegman came in and was like, he hadn't played in like 3 games, and Marcel Reed had been good. Marcel Reed had like 8 total touchdowns, no interceptions, like not gonna blow the doors off you with like his completion percentage or anything like that, but he had been good. And it was like really I was impressed because they started him last minute. He came in, was fucking locked in. I think he was 18 of 22 for like 276 yards. He was fantastic.
And the whole time on the field, he was like, "Dog, y'all ain't even know I'm throwing this rock all over the."
Man, shit. By the way, the Diego Pavia interview after the game was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. And he was like, first off, it's God. It's God. Like, he told me this when I was little. Like, God doesn't let you like all this stuff about God, which I fucking love. It's great. I'm not making fun of him at all. And then right in the middle of like his praise and worship series, he goes, "Vandy, we fucking turned." We fucking lit or whatever it was. Thought that was really funny. No, but Wegman was great. And then
the kid before the game sending a blanket to Theo Weiss.
So they talked about that. I didn't see that blow up on social media because I guess I just wasn't on social media on Friday. Oh yeah, I got sick as shit on Thursday night. I was like throwing up. It was bad.
Fireball.
Yeah, it wasn't that, but it was bad either way. But no, they came in and they said that he like sent like a blanket. Then after the game, Elko brought up the fact he goes, "I don't know who did that. Maybe you should ask what's his name? Eli Drinkwitz." Like saying that he like set it up on purpose.
Really?
Yeah. And then because then that kid came in and then wore the blanket out onto the field.
Yep.
As like a troll move, but then got blanketed. It was weird. I didn't get it.
Yeah, so 41-10 A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Did not see that coming. I thought A&M could win the game, and we didn't have a preview pod last week, but
no.
Then you had Louisville
favored.
Yeah, it was a 3-point spread. Louisville loses to SMU. SMU is now 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
You had let's see.
By the way, is Louisville or is SMU is their only game where they lost? Is their only loss in the season the one I told everyone to bet on them?
Well, no, they beat that. They just looked terrible, but they won that game against Nevada.
Okay, yeah.
They've had like a complete season turnaround after that Preston Stone kid that everyone thought was awesome. Like they benched him and they've been unbelievable ever since.
Yeah.
So, Michigan goes down to Washington. They lose by 10.
That was pretty cool.
Jack Tuttle was in there for Washington, so
I thought he was in there for Michigan.
I didn't get eyes on the game, but I don't know if Orgy got hurt. Maybe people in the chat maybe watched it, but
yeah.
So number 10, Michigan loses. Washington. Minnesota
beat USC.
Beat USC 24-17, 14 points in the fourth quarter for Minnesota.
Minnesota needed that win after the vice presidential debate too. That was a tough one.
Tim Walz just like he looked so scared. Like
we were sitting there watching in Tampa, and I just side note on that. It was so refreshing to see two people talk about politics and not be at each other's throats and throwing accusations. And they were like, They had decorum and they were mature about it. And I thought it was awesome. I don't give a shit like what both sides said necessarily. I thought it was great just to see some like calm, rational back and forth. And then he said that thing about I'm friends with school shooters, and I was like, "There, surely that he didn't say that."
Yep. Yeah, that was a tough one. I was watching it with somebody, and I was like,
who was it?
It's a little a female friend.
Yeah, female friend.
I got a little female friend.
Oh, new girl. Look at you. I got a new hat.
T-Huck's coming up. Yeah, and I was like, did he just? Can we rewind that? I think he just said school shooters.
Anyway, no, but Minnesota beats USC, and they had to overcome some like bullshit calls. That's another thing, Tyler. The officiating has still not. It's not going to get fixed, is it?
For the level that college football is at this point, like the fact that we have like part-time referees that are also like insurance salesmen, like we need to fix that immediately because there is some horrific officiating week in, week out.
Yeah. You know how much they make per game? I looked this up a couple weeks ago as we were talking about it because I just assumed if you're officiating games like big games, it is like you'd be making like six figures, right? You know how much they're making?
No.
$2,500 per game.
I don't even think that's worth it.
No.
Jesus. Okay. Well, yeah, that's you're basically getting what you pay for it at that point. Mm-hmm. So yeah, USC loses, and then, dude, Arkansas, Tennessee
made my whole day.
Tennessee's offense is kind of what's going on there.
Are they not good? I thought they were the best offense. Is this another case of we have grossly overreacted to September? Because I feel like for the last several years, one, I've been really good with my bets, Tyler, and my picks. Two, we have done a good job on this show of being like, listen, we're not going to release a September Heisman, and we're not going to sit here and talk about how great teams are until they have to play somebody. But I have definitely fallen into that trap, I feel like now, because I look at Tennessee, and I thought Tennessee was the best team in the country at one point, not that long ago.
Yeah.
Put up there my rankings. And then, now to their defense, they've had to play 3 of their 5 games have been away from home. But Saturday was like, dude, you were facing a backup quarterback. It's the first time. This is another trend that's been so weird. I did an article about this today on LouisianaSports.net. You guys should go check it out. Been writing a bunch lately. It's been a lot of fun. Teams coming off a bye, especially in the SEC, Tyler, have been really, really bad so far, especially early on in games. Like teams coming off a bye so far through week 6 are just 3-4 on the season. Now keep in mind, Bama and Georgia were both coming off a bye when they play each other. But outside of that,
we never even got to talk about that game, but Georgia looked horrible in that first half. Like Carson Beck, like basically lost the Heisman at that point. It felt like we'll see what happens, but
4 turnovers, but they came out down 28-0 in that game. Now, granted, Bama was off a bye, so that's they kind of negate each other. But then the only 2 teams that have really looked good coming off the bye, Vandy beating Bama and Florida beating UCF, both home underdogs, both huge wins. That's all great. But then listen to these other teams coming off a bye. Tennessee coming off a bye against Arkansas. Now, granted, they weren't down by a ton like Georgia was. Missouri coming off a bye. They start out at halftime down 24-0. They're down 34-0 at one point in the third quarter before they scored. Lose by 31 points. South Carolina comes off a bye against Ole Miss. They're down 24-3 at the half. Lose 27-3. Another horrible start. Then you look at Tennessee, and they were only down 3-0 at halftime. But Tyler, that's the first time under Josh Heupel and the first time since 2019 that Tennessee hasn't scored in the first half of a game since 5 years. So these early, coming off the bye, these slow starts have been really, really shocking. I don't understand how that's a thing. But the Tennessee Arkansas game, man, was just like, I don't know if the problem is with Nico or if the problem is the defense looked like they were good, but it was shocking to watch. And the worst part for Heupel is that he let him score.
Yeah. I venture to say that Tennessee's defense is the better unit than the offense.
You love talking about units. I know that.
I do. I just love it. And Dylan Sampson had a great, Tennessee's at its best when they've got a good run game. And Dylan Sampson did his part, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Someone said in the chat here, John Glasgow said Tennessee doesn't have any game-changing wideouts like in 2022. Yeah, I mean, look, their leading receiver, at least what it seems, is Thornton with 1 reception for 42 yards.
Brew McCoy was hurt. Or he got hurt again, which sucks. But yeah, I one of the reasons I was so high on them coming into the season was that I just thought that this was going to be the best, the most depth they've had and the best receiving group and like pass catching group that they've had there since the late 90s. Like, I mean, like on paper, you have like several former 5-stars, you have several contributors from last year, like Squirrel White, and it's just been nothing. Like it's just been, and Nico, even after a year of sitting the bench and getting ready and learning about the offense, he doesn't look like a huge difference maker.
Yeah, you see it in spurts, like that pass that he had late in the 4th, where they had to have it, and he was rolling out to his left and just threw an absolute rocket. Like, you see it there, but yeah, you're just not getting enough consistency. Now, granted, it's his first year starting, but yeah, that's disappointing for Tennessee because you really had a chance to take a stronghold, not only in the SEC, but like in the country. You would have been top 3.
Yeah.
So missed opportunity there, but it's always tough to go on the road in the SEC at night. But yeah, 3 of the 4 quarters they didn't score any points.
Yeah, that's dude. Like in a Josh Heupel offense, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
and they had a 14-3 lead going into the 4th or in the 4th. I mean, that's just like that's stuff that I thought that they had done a better job of. Like Heupel had turned the corner as a head coach on.
Yeah, they maybe they were a little, I saw some videos of them coming out with Morgan Wallen, like Peyton Manning dressed in full Tennessee. Did you see that?
Yeah. But that was dude, that was after the Oklahoma game. That was like Sunday night.
Yeah, they
still had another bye week.
So like he just looks like a disgruntled dad, just walking out like
he could have just worn the jersey and jeans. Like that would have been.
He didn't have to go full uniform. That was kind of weird.
You never go full uniform.
Georgia rebounds 31-13 against Auburn. Something's missing with Georgia, and I think I was talking about this it's not like obviously for the full team, but on offense, I kind of feel like they, as well as they recruit, I feel like they've just the last couple of seasons they've been missing that like dominant receiver.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna be petty, but I mean, yeah, they are. I mean, I think that also one of the things that we do with Georgia is we haven't had to see like they trounced Clemson, and Clemson is very good. Evan says he'll tell you what it is later.
Okay, you can tell me now if you want.
Oh no, Evan, call in, bro. Call into the hotline. Are we playing? We're not gonna play hotline stuff today. Are we? I guess we have to play. Are there some Vandy things?
Well, we have 35 voicemails, but that's over. I mean, I'm pretty sure every call was about Bama. So, I mean, we could just do it all in one segment.
Oh
not all 35. Some of them are from last week because we didn't record, but yeah.
Okay, hold on. So real quick, but the thing with Georgia is it's been the thing that's been most surprising is the slow starts. I did a deep dive on this last week too, where I was talking about Georgia. Georgia has been. Hold on. Evan, I sent this to you last week. What was it?
I was wondering if Diddy in the chat was my buddy Eric. I knew it wasn't the real Diddy. He's in jail, but
he is in jail. Maybe we should just talk about that.
Do have a friend that goes by Diddy. Maybe you might want to think about changing the nickname.
I was thinking it might be a good thing. Okay, hold on. I'm pulling this up right now. I feel like this is. Oh, okay. So this is going into the Auburn game, okay? 80.2% of Georgia's points is against Power 4 opponents. 80.2% of Georgia's points have come in the second half.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 69% overall.
Nice.
Yeah. But they don't score a ton. And the other thing is too, I don't think this is the case as much this year because of them playing Bama early and Clemson early. But we've seen it in years past, like 2021, 2022, where it's like they were fully okay with just kind of puttering around, waiting so they had to turn it on till they get to like mid-October, November, and then they get that bye week, and then they get Florida, and then boom, then they hit another gear. And
Boom.
Oh, that guy is a lot.
He is a lot.
His kid has, I hate to say this because I'm not going to make fun of a 12-year-old, but I am, just zero rhythm.
Yeah. I feel bad for that kid, kind of, in a sense.
Why? Because he's a dad that loves him?
I mean, I think his dad loves him for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I'm kind of like, I get it, like a baby Gronk dad vibe.
Have you
Like,
seen it in the out? I want to see the outtakes. No. Also, if my dad called me Big Justice at 12, that would have led to me not talking to him much sooner in life, for sure. For sure.
Maybe it would have been better for both of you if you would have.
What if like that's how my dad reaches out next time? It's just him just saying, "Hey, Big Justice, long time. About time to bury this thing, brother."
You'd have to respect him because that means that he watches the pod.
and also watches AJ and Big Justice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's good point.
He calls you and he's like, "Hey, Big Justice, boom, am I right?"
Hey, you know what, Chris? You know what I was thinking about? Reconnecting. That would be a big 5 booms on the boom meter.
I see somebody's arm back there. What do we got?
That's Allie. She's pissed.
Is she?
She's
is she pissed
giving
about Hugh Freeze? Is she tweeting Hugh Freeze still?
Are you still tweeting Hugh Freeze, babe?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
She is. You should have seen her on Saturday, Tyler. She came in. She goes to Mo's and Joe's to watch the game, right? She goes. She's wearing a Phillies. Oh, I met the parents too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Why are you laughing? It went well, I thought. Wow.
So she's a Phillies fan too, huh?
She's a Phillies fan too, and her family's from up there, and Tampa. Whatever. She comes in wearing a Phillies hat, an Auburn shirt, or vice versa, and she's like, "Hey, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I at that point I had not processed it, but I was like, "Please bring beer because we don't have any." And like, I would really appreciate it. And she's like, "But are you okay?" And I'm like, I know that she doesn't care if I'm okay because she's going to be an asshole when she gets home. So like either she's drunk or she's setting me up for something.
It was an empty gesture. She wasn't concerned. She
shows up with a 12-pack of Miller Lite on her shoulder, like a fucking 80s frat bro. And then comes in and was like, "Hey, what's up? You okay?" And I was like, I don't know.
You ready to watch Peyton Thorne, babe?
But the look on her face, I was like, "How drunk are you?" And she goes, "I'm not drunk. We have 4 pictures. I'm not drunk." And I was like, "Okay, sure, okay." She was on cloud fucking 9. And then finally, one of the nicest gestures, she's probably the nicest gesture she's ever done. She stopped and just goes, "Hey, I'll give you 24 hours. I'll give you 24 hours to deal with it." And I was like, "Thank you." And then she's like, 12. And then just fucking passed out.
That's true love right there.
She was very, very nice about it. I hate to say it, but okay. You can hear in the background saying bullshit. But anyway, what were we talking about before that? We were talking about my dad, Big Justice. What were we talking about other stuff before? Georgia.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Texas has Oklahoma this week. I think that should be a win, but Ewers is getting healthy. So we'll see. Do you think they stick with Manning?
Yeah. No, Ewers.
Okay.
It should be fun, man. This is like there's so many upsets that have happened already. It honestly, like people talk about 2007 because it was for these reasons. The fact that number 2 went down 9 straight weeks, and then there was like this flurry at the end of the season where you had on the last weekend of the season, you had all these upsets. Pitt beats West Virginia. Like every time we thought, okay, this is how this is going to work out. LSU is a 1-loss team. They're ranked number 1 in the country. They're playing Arkansas. Darren McFadden has like the craziest game ever. and then they get beat, and then
Matt Grothy.
Matt Grothy.
Does Allie remember that one? Matt Grothy.
Allie was like 11 when that happened. She's much younger than us.
Geez, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's 30.
Oh wow, good for you.
Thanks, man. Okay. Anyway, so but I think people misconstrue that because it's like, okay, there's all this craziness that happened, but you know what 2007 didn't have, Tyler, and that is a 12-team playoff where I don't know if the regular season would have mattered as much, but I do know, and there's Georgia fans in the chat that can attest this, and I've said it for a long time. I thought the best two teams in the country at the end of 2007 were USC and Georgia, and neither one of them got to play for a championship because they already had 2 regular season losses. And that's, at the time, it makes sense and that's fair and whatever. But it also like stands out to me that like now we're in a situation where, dude, not only just with the 12-team playoff and all the chaos that we haven't even seen yet. Do you know that Brad Crawford came out with a top 10 strength of schedules remaining for college football this year? All 10 of the teams were either the Big Ten or the SEC. It was like Washington, Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Bama. I think the only 2 non-contenders in it were like South Carolina and Florida that were 1 and 2. But there's still all these teams that still have 3 and 4 ranked opponents left with like half the schedule left. So we're going to get all that still to play out and a 12-team playoff. And then the other part that's really cool, man, is I don't know how you feel about this because of the scarring from him decommitting, but the current 2 best odds for the Heisman Trophy are Travis Hunter and that kid from Ashton Gianti or whatever.
That kid is amazing.
It's incredible.
Dude, he is one of the best backs I've watched in college in a long time. Like, he's just a beast.
He's played basically 4 games because he's had to sit out for 2 halves of like because they were up by so much. He has like 1,031 yards and 16 touchdowns. To put that in perspective, Tyler, through 5 games, his numbers are pacing ahead of Barry Sanders from the 88 season, where Barry Sanders had 2,600 yards rushing and 38 total touchdowns.
That's insane, man.
And
I don't give a shit that he doesn't play the best competition. That's just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It also is kind of crazy because of the fact that hold on. It's also kind of crazy because I think your buddy Bud Elliott posted this today. That kid, he's been so good, and the story has been so good for Boise. There's a possibility, I didn't know this is possible, that they might get the 4 seed as a bye over the Big 12 champion. I didn't know that you could do that.
I didn't either. I thought the Power 4 champions were the top 4 seeds, but dude, I mean, they're obviously the favorite in the G5 to take that guaranteed spot. I mean, dude, I wouldn't want to be a team that faces him in the first round.
No.
I have no idea who any of their other players are, but he's a monster. Mm-hmm. Every team clearly knows you got to stop him to beat Boise, and nobody can do it. So, yeah, just an incredible player. Dude, excited for this weekend too, man. You got obviously the Red River. You've got Ole Miss, LSU. You've got Ohio State, Oregon, 2 versus 3.
We're game
here that is probably much better than we would have thought at the beginning of the season. Kansas State at Colorado.
Yeah.
You've got, hey, I'm gonna give myself credit here. Iowa State 5-0, number 11 in the country. They got to go West Virginia. They are 3-point under, or they are 3-point favorites, but West Virginia at night could get a little creepy. Florida, Tennessee. I mean, we'll see there, but obviously we, being in the South, we always like that game.
Mm-hmm.
BYU, number 14, playing Arizona. Like, there's a lot of good games. Stanford, Notre Dame, a classic matchup. I don't know it'll be that great of a game. Penn State, USC.
So, that's a big one.
Yeah, Penn State traveling. Penn State's number 4 now, and I feel like I just like Penn State. Every time I look at, they're usually playing some like write-off game, and every time I look at my phone, it's like the game is close, and then they end up pulling away late. Like, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop with Penn State, but we'll see. Maybe they keep.
Well, Drew Aller, or Aller, however you say his name, I wrote this today. Drew Aller, in the last 2 seasons, Tyler, currently he has 12 touchdowns and 1 interceptions, like 12 total. 3 rushing, 9 passing, 1 interception. He is the 5th best QBR in the country. Right? 5th best in the whole country. In the last 2 seasons combined, he has 41 touchdowns and 3
Picks.
and 3 total interceptions. And he's playing for a top 5 team, and he's the 5th ranked QB in terms of QBR in the country. How are we not talking about that? Like, is Penn State? Hold on, someone else can post. Sorry, guys. Work stuff, and I cannot afford to not do it. So
I think the reason why we're not talking about Penn State is because so far this season they have played West Virginia, Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois. Granted, I'll give you that. All these games except for West Virginia were at home, by the way.
yeah,
They beat Illinois 21-7. And then UCLA, who's like one of the worst teams in the country when it comes to offense.
they're awful, and they covered the spread. It was like 27-11.
Okay, yeah, good post there by Eric Whitworth. Let's not forget about Army Navy, who are both really good. I've got a buddy who has a buddy on the Army staff.
Yeah,
and they've been the lock of the week every week.
Really?
Yes, Army's good,
dude. They're both 5-0. They were both 4-0 for the first time since 1945.
Dude, how cool would that be if they were both undefeated in the last game?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, what if this season gives us some? Like, what if that shit is on the line to get to the college football playoff potentially? And I will say that if Gianti, or however you say his name, is able to get the Heisman, like, I think from a marketing standpoint, they won't keep him out of the playoff, depending on their record. But dude, an 11-0 Army Navy game. I said this the other day, like on some show. My dad used to always talk about how it was his least favorite game of the year, and I always thought that was so dumb because it's like everyone loved it. And then I remember he would explain it, and he would say, "Yeah, it's my least favorite game of the year because it's the last game of the year. Like it just every time you see
There's
it,
no
it's
other
like,
games on."
Yeah, and it's like that signifies it's the end of college football. I was like, this fucking sucks. And so I get that point now, to be honest.
Yeah,
That's a 4 out of 5 on the boom meter for me, Dad. So, but it's like it would be awesome to see these two teams and programs. I don't care how this sounds, guys. In an election year when we're already this divided about everything, it would be awesome to see 2 military institutions play for a chance to be a part of the first 12-team playoff. I got goosebumps right now talking about it, man. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it would. Do you want to play the voicemails, or do you? I mean, it's just everybody being sad about Bama.
They're just sad. I want to hear like making fun of them, if anything. Let's play 3, but you got to pick out a good one.
Well, that's going to take some time, so you're going to have to bide some time for me.
Do you want to wait till Wednesday and do it, and we just go through them beforehand and play them?
We can do that.
Let's do that.
I just got to end this by saying I come from a middle class family.
Somebody posted Todd McClure, the former center for the Falcons, posted some shit about it was like a picture of Kalen DeBoer after the loss, and he was like, they were like, "Coach, what happened? You lost to Vandy for the first time in 40 years." He's like, "I just want to start by saying I've come from a middle class family." But no, man. Like, well, here's what we'll do. We will make the effort on Wednesday when we record. We'll actually go through the voicemails, something we haven't done in a while. Allie says, "Hey." We will go through the voicemails and we'll have them ready for this week. And I'm pumped, man. This is gonna be a fun little close. I feel like we've regrouped. We're good to go. And
hey,
this is
what?
I'm excited, man.
Florida State. They went down 17-0 in that game. But after the first quarter, they outscored Clemson. That's all I'm saying.
Why would you say it at all?
It's a trajectory, Chris. The trajectories of our 2 programs, I feel like Florida State.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Yeah, by the way, behind the scenes here, Tyler sends me a text and I was like, I called him laughing about it. I was like, it's like, because it just was so crazy. He was like, whatever. And he's like, yeah, welcome to the suck. welcome to the suck. And I was like, okay. And then he goes, you're lucky I don't have internet till Monday. And I was like, I didn't even see it until like I reread it to make sure I had the date right. And you were like, you're lucky you don't have internet. I was like, motherfucker, you guys are 1-5. We are still going to go to the playoff. Everything is fine. I'm not worried about it.
They could get off the mat against the Cox this week.
Dude, this is going to be a tough week for me professionally.
Yeah.
South Carolina, dude, I did a deep dive today. Again, this is the last thing I'll say on this. We'll talk about it on the thing. I did a deep dive on South Carolina today. If you guys can see this. Look at this. The Adderall free, just fucking Celsius and killing it. 30 offensive stats from South Carolina. 30, because I was like, what is going on? 30. I went through 30 offensive stats to figure out like just the numbers on it, okay? I did 30 numbers, including punts, which thank God I did. Then I went through where it ranks in the SEC for everyone, and then where it ranks nationally for everyone. It took like 30 minutes. It wasn't bad.
Okay.
Do you want to guess how many of the 30 stats South Carolina ranks in 10th or worse in the SEC in?
Now, these offensive stats?
Yeah.
28.
22. They rank in the top 5 in 1. They are second in most punts.
Hey, look, you gotta be able to rely on your punter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, unless you're playing Ole Miss off a bye week and you want to fucking fake punt on your own 40 in the first quarter to take. That's one thing we didn't talk about this. I'm going to say this for our South Carolina fans that listen to this. Dude, if you're Shane Beamer, you answer me this, Tyler. You're playing Ole Miss. Do you have a better offense?
No.
Defense?
No, I wouldn't say.
More talent?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Better roster?
I think that goes into the last question, so no.
Yeah, I'm just trying to add stuff to help my own narrative.
You've got 5 fingers, so you got to get to the thumb.
Better coaching staff? Right?
Yeah, no.
They don't have a better coaching staff? Home field advantage?
No. You were on the road.
They did. They were playing at home.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Yes,
so,
yes, home field advantage.
So out of all those things, the one thing that you had was home field advantage, and within the first 10 minutes, you completely took that out. So fucking stupid.
Smart. I mean, you got to zig whenever there's a zagging. I've always learned that. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, guys. We'll tune in on Wednesday. We're going to have Chris's 30 stats, 1 through 30, listed out. We're going to go through all of them.
I'll just call the hotline and do it.
No, we don't play voicemails over a minute. We will play the voicemails on Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Sorry it's a day late. I've got internet now, so we're ready. Maybe I'll have a background soon, so I'm not in a jail cell. I'm like taking like a driver's license picture.
It does. Perfect.
All
right, brother. I'll talk to you later.